Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you joined in once again. If you're new, welcome to Cooking with Abba, your only cooking show where we're giving you more options. We're teaching you more about your ingredient choice, your ingredient options, your technique options. Most importantly, we teach you everything you need to know about what you're eating and how to fortify it. Yes, this is that cooking show. So if you're new to the channel, please do well to like, do well to subscribe, do well to hit the notification button most importantly, so that every update we release, you receive it on time. Val's Day is in the corner and everyone wants something sweet, something nice, something heartwarming for Boo and Bay. But the most important thing is everyone wants something made of love, made with love, and made for love. Yes, so today we're going to look at red velvet recipe. Yes, the red velvet. Yes, so we're going to go into the video to see how it's done so you can try it over the weekend for Boo or for Bay. So today we're looking at the red velvet cake. Yes, the cake's name is actually from the color, and it's very popular in the US now, especially around Christmas and around Valentine. And in Ghana, it's equally catching up around here. So the ingredients we need for our red velvet cake is some butter, and you can use a half bar of butter, which is often like 100 grams. Instead of using butter, you can equally use cooking oil, and for me, I'd always prefer you'd use coconut oil, and you need just about 125 ml of it, and then a cup of flour, which is about 250 ml. Then milk powder. For this recipe, I used the non-dairy milk powder because it gives you some nice texture when you bake with it. And I used a cup, or you can equally use 150 ml of a liquid milk or evaporated milk, or any milk you have at your disposal, which I used in the second option. Then sugar. For your sugar, I can either use half or 1/3 cup. It depends on your preference, your taste preference, how you want it to be. Then a baking soda, half teaspoon, baking powder, half teaspoon, salt, half teaspoon, cocoa powder, 2 tablespoons, essence, 1 teaspoon, white vinegar, half teaspoon, 1 egg, which is medium or large size, red food color, which is about a teaspoon or a tablespoon if you're using the liquid version, then some cinnamon or nutmeg, which is half teaspoon, some water, which should be warm enough so you can pre-boil it, about half to 1 cup. And for our frosting, you can use half bar of a large chocolate with 2 tablespoons of powdered milk. And I said in this video I was using powdered non-dairy milk. Yes, or you can equally do 100 grams of butter with a cup of icing sugar. You can use your cream milk, your powdered milk, any option of milk you'd want. Yes, for your red velvet cake, you start by first and foremost mixing your butter with your sugar. So you make sure that your butter is at room temperature. It's not caked, it's not frozen. Make sure it's also not melted. So room temperature butter. Then you add your sugar. You stir it nicely for it to mix together. Then once you realize that it is all well incorporated, then you add in your egg. Yes. So you just crack your egg, then you pour out the egg white and the egg yolk in, then you continue mixing. You want to mix till it all incorporates beautifully. So you just keep mixing it in a nice pattern. It's always good to go in one pattern, so don't go this way then you go another direction. Try to use one direction when you're mixing. Once the egg is well incorporated, you add your oil. Then you keep mixing. You keep mixing. Then you come to your milk powder. So this is the first option. So you can use your milk powder in there. If you don't want to use milk powder, you can equally use your liquid milk or your evaporated milk. Yes, then you keep stirring. Just keep stirring. Then when you're done, you add in your vanilla essence. Your vanilla essence that gives it a nice aroma when you're baking. For baking, it's always good to separate your wet and dry ingredients. So for your dry ingredients, you're going to have to sieve your flour. Then you add in your baking soda and your baking powder, as well as your cinnamon or nutmeg. And your salt goes in, your food color goes in, as well as your cocoa powder. And you sieve it nicely. The interesting thing about cocoa powder is that it likes to form into this round, should I say, nuts or balls? Yes. So it's always good to have a spoon around to use it to crush it so that you can get the most out of it. Yes. Then when you're done, you mix all your dry ingredients together. The nutmeg or the essence is going to make it, it won't make the egg be nyeh or the egg be, so it gives it a nicer taste or aroma, and it helps decrease the strong scent of egg. Yes. So you add in your dry ingredients to your wet ingredients. Yes. And you fold in the mixture. So don't go in the same stirring pattern you were using for the butter and sugar. Try and fold it in. You do it like this so that it doesn't form so much gluten. Gluten is what makes it sting time. So yes, you don't want your cake mixture to be too stretchy or doughy. Yes, so you just try and then fold in the mixture. From what I did, you realize my mixture was dense, was too heavy. So if your mixture is too dense, then you can add in a bit of oil to loosen it up, and then worst case scenario, you add a bit of warm water in there. My mixture was dense because when I was mixing my milk, you realize I used less water, so that made it dense. And sometimes the flour, each flour brand and how it is, so some flour you may use 1 cup and it's still going to be very runny. You may have to add a bit to it. So when you're done incorporating it and it's the right texture, it's smooth, you just pour into your greased or oiled baking pans. So another option or another way to go about it is using oil. So you're just going to have your egg, you add to your sugar, you mix nicely till it's well incorporated, then you add in your oil instead of your butter. So if you don't have access to butter where you are, you just add in your oil. Then you mix it beautifully till it equally forms. When you're adding your oil, please do well to add it in bits. Whenever you're adding things to your mixture, don't pour all in at once. Do it in bits. It's very critical. So do well to do so. Then once it's well incorporated or is well formed, you then add in your milk. Yes, you could use your powdered milk mixed with water, or you just go in for your evaporated milk. So from the video, this is the option 2 I gave. Then you realize I poured a bit of water in for backup. Then I added the essence in, and then I gave it a good stir to get it all assembled. Then I sieved my flour, which is 1 cup. Then I added my other dry ingredients like my salt. Then I equally added the baking powder, baking soda, and the cinnamon powder. The cinnamon powder, your food color, your cocoa powder, And as I was saying, cocoa powder can be very stubborn. So as you're sifting, do well to keep a spoon by your side to help you smoothen it out or get most out of it. Yes. And it's always good to sieve your things. Apart from it helping you prevent putting animals or insects you may not want in there, it gives you a nicer texture. Yes. So something like the cocoa powder, you don't want it to be nuts inside. So once you sieve it, it gives you the smooth texture. Then, like I said, you fold in your dry ingredients into your wet ingredients. You always try to make sure you pour in the dry into the wet, not the wet into the dry, so that you can incorporate it very well. You don't want to be eating flat and point, and then some places will be just moist. So it's always good to do that. Then I added the white vinegar as well as my water. Yes, so you realize I used evaporated milk, and then I added in some water. You can try to just add your water directly to the evaporated milk when you're working, but then I prefer to do like this so that just in case I get the texture I want before or without using the water, then I can avoid it. So once you're done, just get your baking pans. If you want to do cupcakes, you can get your cupcakes papers, or yes, baking pans, and you just pour your mixture in there nicely. So you realize your red velvet butter should be smooth, very smooth. And then the amount of cakes you are baking, but then if you're doing the same thing as I was doing here, 180 degrees, you preheat it for about 10-15 minutes to get a constant temperature in there. Then you put in your butter or your red velvet mixture in there. And before you put it in, you just sprinkle some grapes, dry grapes or fruit, just to make it look nicer and attractive and appealing. And once it's baking, do well to be rotating alongside. Yes. But in this recipe, I'm giving you three options aside using your conventional oven or your regular oven. So you can use your Dadesen. Dadesen is very popular around here because we use it for cooking our banku and all those ones. But Dadesen actually gives you good, it traps heat well and it's able to what maintain heat for a longer time. So when you bake with it, Dadesen is equally like you baking with an oven. But you can equally use your saucepan, your aluminium saucepan, your regular ones. The only thing for those ones is that they heat quickly. So your mixture or what you're baking is going to cook very fast. In your saucepan, it's going to get very heated. So you need to be careful when you're handling it. So when it's midway, then you'd have to reduce your temperature a bit. You need to lower your gas or your burner or the heat level a bit because it's going to heat up. If you don't take care, you're going to end up burning your mixture. The third option is to use your rice cooker. So in this video, I used the rice cooker as well. And for the rice cooker, you just need to make sure that it's a cook for start. And you can preheat it a bit. Then you put your mixture inside, your butter inside for it to bake. But make sure when you are starting to bake, you find a way, either using a toothpick or paper to chalk or to make sure your rice cooker stays at cook, or else it goes to warm and will never bake. Yes. So once you realize that it is forming nicely and it's almost there, it's risen. It's going to double up. Once it doubles, you just do well to put it at warm and you let it be. One thing you need to know about baking this type of cakes is that you don't fill your baking pans to the brim, else it's going to overflow. So you always go no more than half the size of your baking pan. Yes, and when it's dry, you can use a toothpick to just check. If you prick and the inside is not moist, if you prick and you realize that your toothpick comes out dry and clean, then it means your cake is there. But if your toothpick comes out wet or moist, then it means your cake is not yet there. Yes, so you need to be careful. Aside your how you fill your batter, you need to be careful when you're baking. For baking, the quantities matter, the ingredient choice matters. You can't say I like so much flour, so I'm going to add so much flour. Your cake is going to come out dense and hard. So that's your red velvet cake, and it's ready. See the base? Yes, this is the result you get when you use it at the sink. For the frosting, I used butter and some icing sugar, which I mixed. Then I added some milk, and I incorporated it all nicely. And then I got it into the freezer to just chill a bit. Then once the cake was done, I just spread it nicely on top of it. Yes, you can equally decide to add some milk in if you want it to be a bit runny. Yes, if you have a food processor or a whisk, it's going to make the work very easy. Then you can add in some essence to give it that nice aroma in there. You can equally use chocolate and some non-dairy. For chocolate, if you want to temper chocolate, give it or use it, you're going to have to crush it a bit. That's if it's not soft under room temperature. You're going to have to use some warm water. Use it in warm water. You don't put chocolate directly on fire or give it direct heat. It's not going to form or come out nice. Yes, so you just, in your boiling water or in your pan with boiling water, you can put your chocolate in a glass bowl so that the heat can go into it well. Then I like to use non-dairy. It has a nice texture, so just a little water to incorporate it. Then I added it to the chocolate, which is in the boiling water. Then I just mix. As you mix over time, chocolate would melt because of the heat around it, and the non-dairy would help it equally become smooth, milky, and nice. Yes, so when you're done, you just mix for a while till everything incorporates nicely. Then you take it off the fire. You can give it some good work, some good mix. Then let it cool just a little bit. Then you spread it nicely on your cake. Spread it nicely on your cake. So please do well to try this recipe. But most importantly, the take home for today is that when it comes to baking, there's a need for you to always measure out your ingredients. There's always a need for you to be accurate with your ingredients. You don't go like cooking where you can say I love more pepper, so I'm going to use more pepper. In baking, you can't say I like more butter, so I'm going to use excess butter. Or I like so much flour, so I'm going to use so much flour. It's going to be dense or something. You're going to spoil the whole thing you're baking. So please do well to follow well. Do well to give it a try. But most importantly, do well to be disciplined, because baking is about discipline. And have fun as you bake. Yes.
I'm so glad you've been able to finish watching. I hope the things you learned, I hope you're going to give it a try. I hope you'll be impressed. Please do well to send a picture of your red velvet. When you're done preparing, do well to send in your comments, your feedback, your suggestions. Do well to let us know how it went. You can do it on our Instagram page, on our Facebook page, right here on Cooking with Abba. Until I see you in my next food episode, I say enjoy life, live life to the fullest, but most importantly, join us, make every food moment count. Lots of love for my team and I. Mwah.